It's time now for County-Wide, a presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. You'll hear about the interesting issues and happenings that affect all our lives. Here's today's County-Wide.
Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Well, good day and welcome to the program. I'm Brad Miller, and we're happy to welcome into studio today Paula Woolsey. And Paula's a veteran in the viticulture campaign that has so overtaken what we love so much about Yavapai County and specifically the Verde Valley. Give me some of your resume. You know wine, and you know where it comes from, and you know what it is, and you know how it's grown and made. Talk to me a little bit about that and your heart's passion.
Thanks for having me on today, Brad. Well, the Verde Valley and the greater Yavapai County have been growing grapes and making wine since the 1500s. And I can tell you that this is a great location to do it. I've been here since 1988. Mm-hmm. I am the president of the Verde Valley Wine Consortium. I am the vice president of the Verde Valley Wine Trail. I've been teaching courses at Yavapai College Southwest Wine Center since 2009 in viticulture and enology, how to grow grapes and how to make wine. And specifically, I teach everything that isn't how to grow grapes and make wine. I teach you all the laws. I teach you all the sensory evaluation.
Gotcha.
I teach all the history and the statistics. So students take me for a year for their degree. Uh-huh. And I have been involved in creating and putting on all the major wine events in the northern Arizona and quite a few in southern Arizona, too.
The latest of which is coming up this Saturday, and we'll talk an awful lot about that here in a few minutes. Verde Valley Wine Festival, Saturday, May 10, 11 o'clock, 6 p.m., Riverfront Park in Cottonwood. We'll get into that a little bit more as we work through the program. Well, interesting. Is this a lifelong passion? I mean, you've certainly been doing it a long time. Did you grow up thinking, as a 10-year-old, I want to learn about wine?
Well, without pissing anybody off, I am one of those people that migrated from California to Arizona like 38 years ago, and my father was in the wine business.
Napa?
No, he was an importer in a town came from Los Altos Hills.
Gotcha.
And my grandfather on my mom's side was a grower. And he would grow Zinfandel every year. He would come visit us. He'd get out of Chicago, and he'd come for a visit. And we had grapes growing behind the garage. And every year he stayed long enough to tend the grapes and make wine. It was not something that I had planned on getting into when we moved to Arizona. Right. After college, we had babies. We did everything during that point. Came here. There wasn't a lot going on, and there was no wine industry here at that point. Right. That was in 1988. Right. I mean, there was a quiet wine industry then. So I got into working at resorts and places. I have many certifications in sommelier, master som, certificate level 2, certified wine specialist, society wine educator. So it was something that, due to my restaurant touring and hospitality, and then I got into distribution and really got educated more in the wine regions. And then we opened our own restaurant. So it kind of came from there, met people that were in the area and wanted to do wine.
So you've seen it from every angle. I mean, yes, every angle.
Definitely.
Right. Literally in your blood.
Yep.
Why Arizona? A lot of us, like me, Alf, I've been here 30-some years. To me, it seems like, the last 10 years. And you're talking about it's been going on for hundreds of years, really.
Hundreds.
But it just seems like viticulture, wine growing has really exploded in the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah, we've been actively working on it for about 25 years. Yeah. So the first few years, it was unknown. But yes, back in the day, way back when this area was being explored by missionaries and people from Spain, the Verde Valley was discovered by Father Kino at that point, and he coined the term Valle de Uva, which was Valley of the Grape, for the Verde Valley, because there was so much locally indigenous grapes we have called Vitis arizonica.
Okay.
Yeah, that you don't want to, the birds don't even eat them. You can't use them for making, you could use them, but they're horrible tasting.
Nasty wine.
Nasty wine. Grapes will grow pretty much anywhere.
Okay.
So the winemaking in this area in the beginning was basically based on church and sacramental wine by the missionaries that were coming up from Mexico and setting up missions all along the coast and into California. And then we had that little thing called Prohibition happen. And Prohibition in Arizona was a very complicated situation. We went into Prohibition 6 years before the rest of the country did, with 9 other states, complete Prohibition. So we had a longer Prohibition, and then the laws that were in place post-Prohibition kind of put a damper on flourishing small cottage alcohol industries.
Sure.
So that didn't start changing until literally 2004, we had 12 wineries in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a winery in Arizona back then, you couldn't sell direct to a consumer unless that person came to the winery, and you definitely couldn't sell to somebody who had a liquor license, like a restaurant. So we got those laws, first set of laws changed in 2006, and then by 2012, and this is, the consortium-led, local vineyards pursued it. We got in contact with lawyers and lobbyists around the state and got these laws changed. And then 2012, by then we had 40 wineries and we had to do more law changing. And now we're up to about 190. So the environment now is worthy of creating an industry, and we're starting to make a huge economic development.
Interesting that the industry was starting to grow, even though there were some of these kind of socio-political blockades still in place that you're describing. Why? What was driving that?
Well, Gordon Dutt, so the Arizona State University in Tucson had a program in the late 70s, early 80s. There was a couple people there that were really interested in seeing if grapes for wine could be grown in Arizona.
Okay.
So that started the process.
Because it's there,
Gordon Dutt.
Kinda.
Well, when you start looking at the geography of Arizona, the elevations, if you're a wine region around the world, famous wine regions, you're notably usually within a shooting distance of a large body of water, like an ocean or a river, because grapes need to struggle. That makes good wine grapes. Grapes will grow anywhere. You could grow grapes in Phoenix, but you wouldn't want to make the wine out of them.
Okay.
So they need this ability to get hot during the day, slowly, and then as the day proceeds into the night, it starts to cool down. So this up and down, up in the day gets the sugars up, down at night gets the acids up.
Okay.
You have to have both sugar and acid to make good wine, good quality wine.
Right.
So Arizona doesn't have these large bodies of water that mitigate the temperature, but we do have altitude. So the difference between the morning cold temperature and the hot in the afternoon is called a diurnal shift. And Arizona has the second largest diurnal shift in the world after Mendoza, Argentina.
Really?
Which is a very famous wine growing region. And if you look at the geography there, they don't have an ocean either. They have the Andes blocking them.
Okay.
But they have altitude, because if you come to northern Arizona or down south the Chiricahua Mountains, wherever the grapes are growing, you'll be in one of those regions where, yes, it's 100 degrees in the daytime, but as soon as the sun goes down, it cools down to 60 degrees. That difference is a 40-degree diurnal shift, and that is what grapes need, and that's what happens on a coast. If you're in California, you've got a hot region growing grapes in Napa, but what happens is the fog comes in during the afternoon, and it cools it down. Right. It cools it down. So that's the reason that we can grow grapes here. It's always been not super cost effective. So like when you look at what we have now, we have three main growing regions in Arizona: Sonoita, Wilcox, and the Verde Valley. Verde Valley has always been a bit more costly for the land, if you think about it.
Right.
Like an acre of land was a lot of money. It could cost you $100,000. Down in Wilcox, when we started this whole process, an acre of grape growing land down there was $5,000.
Okay.
So you had these regions growing kind of independently of each other. The 70% of all the grapes grown in Arizona are grown in Wilcox and Sonoita.
Okay.
But a lot of the vineyards up here, the winery owners up here, also own vineyards down south. So there's this ability to grow grapes down south and truck them up here to the winery and make them up here. What we have in the Verde Valley and in the greater Yavapai County is that we've kind of got the built-in tourism. We've got the Grand Canyon, we've got Sedona, we've got hotels, we've got restaurants. So when we decided to actively start creating, if you were, this wine industry in the north part of the state, we were adding like another leg on the stool.
Right.
That's the beauty of what we've got going on in the Verde Valley versus maybe Wilcox or Sonoita.
We're in a sweet spot.
People are already on their way here.
Right. It worked out really well. All right.
It did.
Okay, we need to take a break, so let's do that. Plenty more to come. Paula Woolsey, and this weekend, Saturday, in fact, is the Verde Valley Wine Festival, an annual gathering that many, many, many folks, visitors and locals alike, look forward to. More to come on County Wine after this.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley, and your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust with the revolutionary Comfort Bridge technology factory installed into select Goodman gas furnaces and air handlers to ensure the entire system operates at peak energy efficient performance. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates, locally owned and operated since 1983. Visit them at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
Thank you so very much for your generosity and kindness in helping others. I hope that you take advantage of the many Arizona state tax credits available when giving to qualified charities and schools. If you haven't taken advantage, I hope you'll ask your favorite charity if they qualify. You can go to Arizona Department of Revenue website, search for tax credits, and look at the list of qualifying charities. Then look at your latest Arizona income tax return and see how an Arizona tax credit can benefit many. This is Lewis saying thanks again.
Spring is here, and it's the perfect time for a fresh start. John and Randall Murdoch, your local Farm Bureau agent, is ready to help you simplify and protect what matters most: your home, your car, your life, and your future. John offers competitive pricing with a relationship-first approach that puts you at the center of every decision. Call John and Randall Murdoch today at 928-649-8686, located on Villa Drive in Cottonwood. Farm Bureau Financial Services. It's your future. Let's protect it.
We welcome you back to the program. Brad Miller here. Paula Woolsey is our guest today. And the Verde Valley Wine Festival is coming up on Saturday, and Paula knows from wine. Her resume at the top of the show. You've been into this for a long time, from literally every angle, legislatively, retail, all of it. That's a good perspective. I got to ask a question about topography. You talked about that temperature shift and what that kind of does there. Is the actual land, I think of, I don't know a lot about wine. I think about Italy, and I think similar, it just seems kind of similar to some. Is that part of it? Is rainfall right for here? Do we have to irrigate? Well, help me with that a little bit.
Okay, so think famous wine regions. What do you think? You think Bordeaux. You think Burgundy. You think places in Italy, Chianti, the Rhone region in France.
Uh-huh.
When you think about Châteauneuf-du-Pape, which is a very famous region in France, in the Rhone, it has giant white rocks. This is what it's famous for. These white rocks that hold in the heat at night to keep these winds that come down off the Rhone River, or the Mistrals, from freezing out the vines. Certain types of rocks and minerals. So if you think about grapes are a crop that once planted, once established, need very little water. So they could be dry farmed because those grapes will get really involved with their roots going down to find the water table.
Okay.
As they're going through the process of developing roots and getting longer and longer and longer, they're going through different strata of minerals and rocks and dirt and soil and sucking up the flavors from those minerals. All right. So again, you can grow grapes anywhere, but you got to have specific qualities that the grapes are going to produce that make good wine.
Right.
So the minerals are found in the strata of the geography, the geology, we call it. People who live in the Verde Valley in Yavapai County, in northern Arizona, can see the millions and billions of years of effects of volcanoes and rivers and oceans that leave lines of striations. Like when you come over into the Verde Valley and you look forward, you see that white kind of striation that you're seeing at Camp Verde.
Right.
We call that caliche.
Sure.
That's limestone.
Okay.
Limestone is one of the most important minerals found in famous wine regions that make them unique.
Huh.
So we have all of that happening here. We've got lava fields, we've got alluvial, we've got sand, we've got everything you need for these grapes to get their feet, their roots into these different levels of minerality, which then helps produce quality wine grapes.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So we've got it all. We got the soil nutrients. We got the temperature. We've got the altitude. We've got the altitude. The rainfall.
The biggest things that we have going against us, which is the complete opposite of what people think when they say, well, how do you grow grapes in Arizona? They think it's too hot and not enough water. It's the opposite. It's actually too cold and too much water.
Really?
That comes at the times of the year, like the too cold. You can have a winter freeze or a late harvest frost or late seasonal frost. April, we've seen it even in May. So the little plants are budding. They're cyclical. They're seasonal. So they go dormant in the winter, and then they come back out in the spring, and they bud break March, April. Then all of a sudden you get a freeze. You've wiped out the crop.
Okay.
That's too cold. And then the other issue is we get the majority of our rain during the summer, during monsoons, when we're harvesting. Yeah. So how do you drop the sugar quality of a grape that's ready to harvest? You dump a bunch of rain on it, and now the bricks, which is the sugar level, drops from maybe you want it at 25 and all of a sudden it's 19. You got to wait for those grapes to dry out again before you can actually harvest them. So that can be a problem. But once those grapes are established, part of my job as a wine educator is teaching people that grape growing as a crop, as a farming crop, uses a tenth the amount of water that traditional crops like soy and corn and alfalfa use, and then you could sell that tonnage. Say we get 4 or 5 tons an acre, you can sell it for $4,000 to $5,000 a ton versus a ton of hay, which is about $600 a ton.
Yeah.
So it's a high dollar specialty crop that uses way less water than more traditional crops. So it's really set well to grow here in Arizona.
The handful of vineyards that I've seen, it seems like they're always built on that slope, that kind of terraced effect. Is that a runoff?
It's
issue?
Both.
Or?
It's the sun exposure. It's
Sure.
about allowing, because there are challenges to growing grapes at high altitude because you're closer to the sun. So you have this ability. The grapes' only job is to produce seeds, right? And so they do that in various ways by canopy growth development. And you want to create an environment where you're not burning the skins on your fruit because you're developing color before they're ready to harvest. So you want the sugars way up there. You want the color dark. So we trellis particular ways, utilizing slopes so that the vines in front of the rows of vines in front of each other are throwing shade on the ones behind them during the hottest part of the afternoon.
You can see that as you...
That's one thing, and it's also the lay of the land and the development of runoff. So the best minerality is right in the middle of a hill. So once you get down to the bottom, that's the valley farming. Like if you think about places in flatlands, the most fertile places are at the bottom of the valley, which causes a lot of minerality and a lot more growth of canopy, which has to be cut off. So you want to have this perfect scenario where your grapes are struggling, but not too much, but just enough that they're looking for the minerals. They're showing they're putting their grapes out to the sun, like give me the sun. They're growing thick skins to protect them from the birds. That gives more color. So we have all of the ability for that to happen here in the Verde Valley, down south, and in Sonoita.
Well, are you kidding? Give me a glass of wine. This is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. We need to take another little break. I want to talk about the Verde Valley Wine Festival. I'm already thinking about when we'll have you back and talk about some other exciting things. This is, well, and that would be fitting because of the impact that viticulture has had in our area, as you've described on the program. Paula Woolsey in studio today. It's Countywide. We'll be back right after this.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley, and your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust with the revolutionary Comfort Bridge technology factory installed into select Goodman gas furnaces and air handlers to ensure the entire system operates at peak energy efficient performance. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates Locally owned and operated since 1983. Visit them at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
Thank you so very much for your generosity and kindness in helping others. I hope that you take advantage of the many Arizona state tax credits available when giving to qualified charities and schools. If you haven't taken advantage, I hope you'll ask your favorite charity if they qualify. You can go to Arizona Department of Revenue website, search for tax credits, and look at the list of qualifying charities. Then look at your latest Arizona income tax return and see how an Arizona tax credit can benefit many. This is Lewis saying thanks again.
Spring is here, and it's the perfect time for a fresh start. Jonna Randall Murdoch, your local Farm Bureau agent, is ready to help you simplify and protect what matters most: your home, your car, your life, and your future. Jonna offers competitive pricing with a relationship-first approach that puts you at the center of every decision. Call Jonna Randall Murdoch today at 928-649-8686, located on Villa Drive in Cottonwood. Farm Bureau Financial Services. It's your future. Let's protect it.
We welcome you back to the program. It is Countywide. I'm Brad Miller. Paula Woolsey is our guest today, and talking about a number of things. We were going to kind of talk about the Verde Valley Wine Festival. We'll do that now. But what an education. It comes across, I think our listeners won't be surprised if they didn't know already. You are an educator for many, many years, specifically at Yavapai College, and you're proud to have quite a few folks that have graduated through the program.
Yeah.
They'll be represented on Saturday.
We started the program in 2000. I taught the first classes to see if the community was ready for it and if it was something that we needed and people were interested in taking the courses, and it's just gone since then. So we started graduating people with degrees in viticulture and enology in 2014. We had to do a little fundraising in there to build the winery. We have our event coming up this Saturday at Riverfront Park. It is the Verde Valley Wine Festival. This is an event that was Maynard James Keenan put together and started it in 2016. So it's been going for a while. At this year's event, I am proud to say we've got 20 wineries representing all of different parts of Arizona, but we've got 7 of those are actually graduates from the program that graduated from Yavapai College.
Great.
And it's we've been doing it long enough now. You can really see the fruits of the labor of teaching.
Yeah.
And the Southwest Wine Center will be at that event, so you can actually taste the wines from the Southwest Wine Center, and then student-made wines. Along with, we have a brewery, we have a distillery, we've got Wild Tonic. There's something for everybody. It's Mother's Day weekend. We want you to bring the kids, come enjoy the food. We've got music all day. We've got food trucks. Kids are welcome. We've got the new playground at Riverfront Park.
Right.
Yeah.
Great place to have any family get together. But this Saturday, it's going to be the Verde Valley Wine Festival. Again, starts at 11 o'clock, goes until 6 o'clock. VerdeValleyWineFestival.com. Can I get tickets there?
Yeah, tickets at the door are $25. And I want the listeners to realize that this specific event, we are charging half the price that was charged last year because we had some really good sponsors step up and contribute. So we were able to lower the cost by half. So it's $25 at the door for 6 tasting tickets. For wine drinkers, it's $10 for non-wine drinkers to have access to the event. You can get the tasting tickets online at VerdeValleyWineFestival.com. They're $20 early bird tickets in advance. Those tickets will be on sale till about midnight on Friday. Doors open at 11 o'clock on Saturday. It's going to be a beautiful day. We've already sussed out the rain's going to stop tomorrow.
Yes.
Just in time to dry out the field for us.
It sounds like it'll be beautiful.
Should be good.
The prediction. All right. Well, wonderful. What an education. And your work is so much appreciated by those alumni who will be out on Saturday, and a lot of the wine tasting folks from the Verde Valley and elsewhere are going to be coming from all over the state for this big, important, and fun event. The Verde Valley Wine Festival comes up Saturday. Again, this Saturday. It's May 10th, 11 o'clock until 6 p.m. at Riverfront Park in Cottonwood. VerdeValleyWineFestival.com. Our guest is Paula Woolsey. I'm Brad Miller, and this is Countywide.
This has been Countywide. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday at this time. If you have a topic or guest idea that you'd like to suggest, email us, news@myradioplace.com.